he lost the weight the wrong way the first time. When you lose a massive amount of weight, and I've also lost 60 pounds in my life before.
So this is the continuation of Fanon, me counterpunching Fanon and getting down to what his concerns for Tyson Fury, the things that could possibly be wrong with Tyson Fury because of his weight gain. And he made a point that, or a possibility, what if Tyson Fury lost the weight the wrong way the first time? Okay, let me counterpunch. First of all, that didn't happen. You know why it didn't happen? Because Tyson Fury was in the gym. He lost that weight by working out, increasing his metabolism, and burning fat, and essentially losing weight. It took him from 17, maybe 4 or 5 months. Okay, he lost over 100 pounds. Okay, he lost that by having a good friend, his best friend, Ben Davison, with him, going through every step of the way. As far as we know, okay? You know what I'm saying? Because we've seen him in the gym, and we know he lost a huge amount of weight because we've seen Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury's 7 foot tall, so that tells you a guy like that to that magnitude, you know, you can put a lot of weight in that 7 foot frame, okay? And I think what he's getting at is the fact, what if he lost it in a bad manner? Let's move forward.
Right? Was well overweight, right? Weighing 270 pounds. Made my mind up that I was going to get down to 210. Got myself down to 210, eating in a certain way, living in a certain way. But really, it wasn't through increasing my muscle mass and increasing my metabolism. It was by dehydrating myself and malnourishing myself.
Okay, now, Fanon gave his own personal experience. Before I judge Fanon, let me give my own personal experience. About, 6 years ago now, 7 years ago, I lost about 40 pounds. And I lost it due to like some personal things, you know what I mean? Loss of family one, loss of, a significant other. Both of them pretty much happened at the same time. And I hardly ate and I just walked. I don't know if I malnutritioned myself because I wasn't on any type of drugs, unless you call love a drug, right? It wasn't anything like that. I mean, I drank a bit at times, but it wasn't because I was on some type of substance that depressed my eating habits. Therefore, I lost weight unhealthy, okay? It wasn't like that. I lost weight. And one thing, if anybody knows anything about stress, okay, weight will just fall off of you. It'll fall off you like it was never there. You're like, dude, you're getting skinny. Right? So, I think it's one of those things that, and I don't even really sure how unhealthy it was. I mean, it ain't like something that I intended to do. So how healthy could it been? Right? But the funny thing about that was when I did lose the weight, like things that I had, like hypertension, and because I had a touch of that at the time, and other things, got gout, and all that was gone. Okay, all that had just went away because I lost the weight. So I was actually, I looked like I was when I was maybe 19, right? Because I had lost that much weight. I looked great, but I mean, was I mentally there? No, because I was heartbroken. Okay, now back to Fanon. Since, I don't want to talk about his personal business without talking about mine. I don't do that. What he's talking about, it sounds like, okay, that he was like, I malnutritioned myself and lost a lot of water weight. Sounds like he was on some shit. That's what it sounds like. He was on some type of substance abuse. Now, I don't know what that was necessarily. But when you lose weight, like he didn't do it naturally. So something was up with him. I don't know what it was again, but it sounds like that. Not saying he was a crackhead or nothing, or substance abuse or whatever, because I got empathy, But it sounds like he lost that in some totally different way. But he didn't go into that, of course, but the way he worded it, Okay, it sounded like, oh, well, and other things, and malnutrition. Why would you malnutrition? I mean, that sounds like some type of food suppressant due to substance abuse of whatever substance that was. You know what I'm saying? But he did mention mental health, so that could have been it, maybe. But anyway, let's move forward.
That will cause weight loss. Now, what is the problem when you lose weight like that? When you lose weight in the wrong way, your metabolism slows down. So when you gain that weight back, when you slip through inactivity or something else, that weight can fly up way past where you were the first time, where you may have said, well, I'm 260, 250, 260. I want to get down to 210, right? I want to get down to 200. You get down to 200. If you do not do the same thing to maintain that weight that you did to lose it, you have slowed down your metabolism by burning muscle, not fat, your weight will skyrocket well past that 250. You might see yourself looking at 300 pounds.
He's absolutely right on that. If someone loses a lot of weight, because I've saw it again and again, you've seen people lose a shitload of weight. I've seen people lose weight from taking X-Lax. You guys don't know what X-Lax is, look it up. It's a laxative. And that's not a healthy way to lose weight. But you have to do the same thing. But that's based on the fact that if he lost it the wrong way, and I don't believe he has, because he was in the gym working that off. Now, I don't know what else he used and methods he used now, because I wasn't with the man holding his hand 24/7. But it didn't seem like that was the case. So, but as far as what he said about people losing weight and gaining that shit back, yeah, that's true. But I mean, but Fanon looks like he's speaking from experience, so that might have well happened to him. I mean, he doesn't look bad now, which is a great thing, because your health is your true wealth. Regardless of how much money you make or whatever, you have to be a certain way health-wise, because if you can have all the money in the world and you're sick and you're sickly, what quality of life really do you really have? But anyway, let's move forward.
Because you have done damage to your body, shrinking it down, and your body has not forgotten, and it will blow itself right back up. So, if that is the situation with Tyson Fury, the second situation with Tyson Fury, that is almost as dangerous for might even be more dangerous for his boxing career than the first one, right? Because the first one is mental and you can get your head around that. But when your body physiology changes, right? And trust me, I'm over 50 years old. Your physiology changes. When you tax your body like that and your body doesn't appreciate it, it will rebound on you.
Okay, so he is basically breaking down what your body can do under certain circumstances, but it's not clarified those circumstances were Tyson Fury. And another thing, I didn't know Fanon was over 50 years old. Salute to him. However, when you're 50 years old, if he's over 50, I'm going to give him early 50s, okay? Just because. I'll give him over 50s. And if he's over 50s, where do you think Tyson Fury's at? Because he's talking about himself again. Now, it's one thing to use yourself as an example, but you can't put yourself as an example that doesn't apply to the person you're talking about. Counterpunch. Tyson Fury is not in his 50s. Okay, and for that matter, I think he's more closer to his father. I think John Fury is about 56. So if he's early 50s, if he's like Roy Jones Jr. age or even Mike Tyson's age, okay, that has nothing to do with Tyson Fury, and your body reacts totally different from the early 30s, from the early 50s. That's a huge amount of 2 decades means something to the human body. Okay, so I don't think that applies to Tyson Fury. Okay, so Tyson Fury, but you got to understand, he is a big dude. You have to maintain that weight to keep it off, especially if you've gained that amount of weight. But it's how he's gained the weight. See, what Fanon isn't telling you guys, he's talking about how did he lose the weight? Well, the thing is, how did he gain the fucking weight? Did he gain it by drinking and eating himself into a slum? Did he become something? Did he develop some type of bulimic situation, right, where he had to eat and eat and eat and eat? He didn't, his body didn't tell him when to stop or whatever. His brain didn't signal to his body like, yo, stop eating. That might have been a situation too. So he's not discussing the other part of it. The other part of it could have been like, yo, how did he gain the weight? Not how he lost it. How did he gain it? And that's a whole different factor too. Okay? Especially if he stopped doing the things that caused him to gain the weight. All right? So let's move forward.
So, what is the case with Tyson Fury's weight loss? I heard that he lost, I'm not going to do the stones, right? But he was over 400 pounds. And within 6 to 8 months, he's down to 250, 260 pounds. That's 150 pounds that you lost in 6-9 months, right? Now, while you're fighting and you're active and you're training for fights and you're doing all this, hey, man, that's okay. But when you stop, boom, it goes. Now, what does that mean for Tyson Fury going forward? First of all, he is going to, unless Deontay Wilder in this mediation says, okay, I'm going to let you go fight Anthony Joshua or somebody else as long as, we're conditioned, for it, right? Unless that happens, it's going to arbitration. And then if it goes to arbitration, if the judge doesn't side with Tyson Fury, then Tyson Fury's got to fight Deontay Wilder.
Okay, now I know it was coming to this. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Mediation, arbitration. As far as I'm understood, the mediation's over. The arbitration has begun. And they were both about money, so they're both really kind of intertwined. And that's the problem with Wilder. Wilder loves to talk about how things that happened. He likes to talk about he was cheated. He likes to talk about he knocked out Tyson Fury the first fight. But what he isn't talking about is what people need to talk about. It's no sense of taking and keeping the truth on what the fuck is really going on a secret. See, I don't know. I don't like this new Wilder shit. This new Wilder shit is like this. Hey, I'm not going to say anything when I should be. I'm going to have someone else talking to me, but then now I'm doing interviews here and there. So if you're doing interviews here and there, okay, why don't you state what's going on? What's going on with this, with everything? And then one thing I need to clear up with you guys. If Deontay Wilder has a pony in the show from stopping this fight, he needs to tell us where he stands when it comes to two other guys fighting. Counterpunch. Okay? And because it seems like to me, like Fanon's saying that, hey, Deontay Wilder has the power to stop a fight that's being in negotiating terms right now. And that's Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. Okay, so until we know, or until that fight gets presented, Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury, or Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua, they can make all the fucking videos they want, just like this. They can push that narrative as long as they want up until that time. If that time never comes, they're going to keep pushing it. They're going to keep pushing it because they're going to want, they're going to desire, they're going to believe that, hey, this particular fight is not going to happen because our champion, our king, the guy that was cheated, Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, is holding this shit down. In this case, he's holding it up because they're not getting a chance to fight. But Fanon can say that shit because nothing has been announced yet. Okay? But anyway, let's move forward.
And he'll be fighting a Deontay Wilder that does not have weight problems. He'll be fighting a Deontay Wilder that does not have substance abuse problems. He'll be fighting a Deontay Wilder that believes that he was cheated, has not lost his confidence, remembers that he almost knocked you out, and can be completely on the grind.
So let's hope everything that Fanon said in closing is absolutely true about Wilder. Not the third fight, but if they have a third fight, let's hope that Wilder is around. Because see, there's a flip side to this. If a guy was beat or cheated like they claim. And everything was true. They, claimed, his brother claimed he had a dent in his head. Tay Jones said he had a dent in his skull too. You guys don't believe me? Look it up. I interviewed Tay Jones. He said he had a dent in his head. Aki said it was a dent in his mandible. But the dent was here. The mandible's here. Retards. But if what they're saying is true, that means that he has some type of damage already. He is no different than Carol Brook. Remember when Carol Brook got his eye socket busted? His skull fractured by Golovkin, and he got it fractured again in another place by Errol Spence? That means if what they're saying is right, that shit's real. And if that shit's real, that means you guys have a built-in excuse when he does get beat. Counterpunch. Think about what I'm saying. Oh, well, he ain't going to have this and have that. And let's say for shits and giggles, we have no Joshua Tyson Fury fight. And Tyson has to fight Deontay Wilder. He has to fight him. The judge rules that hey, you got to fight this guy or whatever. And he fights this guy and he beats this guy again. Do you know the first thing that they're going to say on the defense of Deontay Wilder? He was cheated so bad the first or the second fight and the first fight, because they're going to throw that shit in there too. Why not? That there were residual effects, and he targeted the point of where the dent was in his head, and the dent was further damaged in the third fight. But of course, you're going to hear a guy that's on his grind, a guy that's wanting it, a guy that's not weak, a guy that's water's not spiked, a guy that doesn't have a dent in his head. Like, okay, if you have a dent in your head, maybe it was there from birth, whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever. So, I think what they're trying to say is Tyson Fury, his mental problems are because of Deontay Wilder. And he's falling off because he doesn't know how to cope with the idea of avoiding Deontay Wilder because he owes him a third fight. Now, what I say to this, again, in order to stop this narrative in its tracks, people are going to have to understand that until that fight with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury is announced, this will continue until the world comes to an end. Because they won't stop. But it has to happen. That's why I'm looking forward to progress. That's why I'm looking forward to Tyson Fury moving on. That's why I'm looking forward to Deontay Wilder finally moving on. Because I don't think he can finally move forward unless his minions, these guys, stop preaching this shit so he can mentally stop rehearsing it again and again in his mind. Because if anything, Deontay Wilder might be stuck in a rut mentally because he might be so obsessed with this fucking guy to the point is, how can he move forward? And that's not a good thing at all. It's a bad thing, because what happens at the end of the day is Deontay Wilder will still be focused on Tyson Fury, and Tyson Fury won't give a shit about Deontay Wilder. He's totally moved on and fighting an undisputed fight with another champion in the heavyweight division. Okay, another guy that he should have fought, mind you. But anyway, that's my counterpunch on this saga. I apologize for it being so long. I had to counterpunch the whole thing in its entirety. Please tell me what you think. Please subscribe, and you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.